Hello students, today we're going to be solving equations using our calculator. Okay, so today is actually kind of a fun day, but we need to make sure that we understand how to do solving equations without the calculator before we can actually understand the calculator. So what I'd like for you to do for your warm-up is I'd like for you to answer these two questions. Please solve each question for x. Pause the video and answer these questions. Okay, so let's see how you did. Now I'm having to do this using my mouse today because of the computer I'm recording on, so just kind of bear with me on this. Okay, so we've got this 5x plus 8 equals 3, and our job is to get this x right here by itself. So I need to move this 8 over to be with this 3. And we do that by adding its opposite. So we know we take our 5x plus the 8, and I'm going to add the opposite of 8 in order to move it to the other side. Equals 3 plus the negative 8, which is what I added to the other side. So my 8's then will add out, and I will be left with 5x equals, and then on this side I end up with 3 plus negative 8. So you type that into your calculator, and you find out that that's negative 5. Now I don't want to know about 5x's, so I divide by 5 on both sides, and we need to remember that I need to divide by exactly the same number. So whatever number's with the x, the coefficient, you need to divide by that number. And we end up with x equals, and the negative 5 divided by positive 5 gives me a negative 1. Now we could plug that back in up here. 5 times 1, or negative 1, gives us negative 5, and then negative 5 plus 8 does give us 3. Now, in this second equation, okay, hopefully you notice that there's something kind of strange on this one. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my subtraction to addition next to its opposite, and then I wanted you to kind of notice that there's a 2x on each side. The same exact 2x. Okay, so I need to move this 2x over on this side. So I do equals 2x plus negative 2x plus 2 equals, and then on this side I'm going to write the 2x plus 3 that I had, or actually negative 3, excuse me, and then I'm going to add my negative 2x that I added to the right hand side to the left hand side. So we know our 2x's will go away, and I'm going to be left with negative 3 equals, and then on this side my 2x's also go away, and it will be equal to 2. Now we know that negative 3 is not equal to 2, so we cross out the equal sign, and you write no solution. Now that is really hard to do when you're just using a regular mouse. Okay, so that's solving those equations. So what we're going to attempt to do today is we're going to find out how do I solve this graphically, because that is a connection I need to actually make. We know how to solve it algebraically. Now we need to solve it another way. And so we're going to look at the graph, and we're going to look at something called a t-chart, okay, to actually help us solve. Okay, and that will actually tell us what we call excuse me, call the point of intersection. Okay, so that's what we're going to be working with today. So here we go. Let's see if we can do it. Today we will learn how to use your calculator to solve equations. There are two ways to do that. One is graphically, and one is to use the table feature. And we're going to look at both of those. So we're going to take this particular expression right here, 2x plus 5 equals 10, and we're going to try to solve it using the graphing calculator, which you see here. Now my calculator is exactly the same as the one that you have on your desk or the one that you have on your Chromebook. So do exactly the same thing that I do. Okay, if you get bogged down and you get lost, well, back up the video and try again. Okay, so the first thing that we have to do is we've got to set our window. Okay, our window is this square area right here. So if I were to press the graph button, I may have stuff on mine. Let me see. No, I don't. If I were to press the graph button, this is what we call our window. Okay, so it's basically setting up our x and our y axis. Here's what we have to do first. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put in this window right here. So I'm going to come up here to the top of my calculator, and I'm going to press the window button on my calculator. Now you'll notice mine has some numbers in there right now. Yours probably has, let's see, probably has this, oh, not there, this right here as your numbers. And some of those are kind of ugly. So what we're going to do is we're going to change these numbers to the ones that you see on the screen. Okay, so all we're going to do is type in negative 33. Okay, and then we're going to press the down arrow key. Oh, let's see, I don't know why it did that. Oh, I bet I know why. So let me Try this again. Okay, it didn't like my minus, so I've got to actually press this negative key. So negative 33, okay, and then enter, okay, or hit the down arrow key. Then 33 for your X max, down arrow, and then 5, down arrow, and then negative 20.5, and then 20.5, and then 5, then 1, then it's already 0.25 here, and then this trace step is also 0.5, so it set some of those already. So now if I were to hit the graph button, this is what it's going to look like. Oh, kind of looked exactly the same, okay? But you will find a difference in just a few minutes, okay? So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to press our y equals button, and we're going to look at the two sides of this equation. So this 2x plus 5 is one side, we call it an expression. The 10 is another side, which we call an expression. And what we're going to do in our calculators, we're going to set them equal to each other. So in order to get this window, we're going to press the y equals button, which is right here in the top left-hand corner. So I press that y equals button, and you see all these nice colorful things here, because yours is a color calculator. And we're going to type in 2x plus 5. Now remember, your X key is right up here in this top corner, right catty corner to your second key. That is your X key. That's where we get it. It's not this time symbol. It's the X button. Okay? And then I'm going to hit the down arrow key or the enter key, and I'm going to press the number 10. Okay? So now we have these two expressions there. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to graph these. Okay? So right up here in the top right-hand corner, we're going to press the graph button. So if you press the graph button, you should end up with something that looks like this. Okay, so that's kind of a cool graph. Okay, so this right here is one of the lines, and this right here is the other line. Okay, now which one is which? Okay, is what we kind of have to understand. Okay, well first off, if we were to hit the trace button, okay, this button right here, it pops in on whatever is in what we call Y1. So if you press that Y1 button, whatever was in that Y1 spot, that's what's going to be there first. Okay, so it pops in right there on that, and it pops in where it crosses the y-axis. Now we can move that thing from graph to graph. You'll notice up here at the top, it's got y1 is equal to 2x plus 5. Well, if I were to hit the up arrow key, I could actually switch that to y equals 10, okay, or the other side, okay, so that we can actually see both sides of that. Okay, so now I can flip it back and forth. If you were to look at my calculator here, just bouncing it back and forth. Oops, hit the wrong button there. Let me go back to my graph. I hit one too many buttons there. Trace. Okay, and I can go back and forth like that. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to look at this point of intersection. So I need you to use your right and left arrow key to make that little spider there go all the way to where we hit that intersection of those two graphs. Now when we look at where it crosses, this is what we call a point of intersection. This is how we can determine what our answer is going to be. And you'll notice the point of intersection, and a point is an x and a y value. You'll notice on both sides, whether it's on y1 or y2, if I were to flip it back and forth, you'll notice that on the bottom, the x and the y stay the same. So that means that is the point of intersection. So on your assignment today, that's one of the things I'm going to have you write down is the point of intersection. So this point of intersection, you would write a parenthesis, and you would write 2.5, comma, 10, because that is our point of intersection. So that's what we're looking for. So whenever I ask you that on your assignment, that's what I want. Now I'm also going to ask you what is the solution to this problem? What's the answer? What is the x value? Okay, because we're always looking for, you know, whenever we solve this, x equals what? Okay, well, our x equals is actually the x value of that. So that's going to be the 2.5. Okay, so this is called our point of intersection, and this right here is called our solution. Okay, and that's what we're looking for, and that's what we're going to call it, the solution. Okay, now, that's one way to solve an equation graphically. Okay, now what I also want to look at is looking at it on the table. Okay, so this is what your table is going to look like. Now where do we find this? Well, if you look at your calculator right above the graph button, you'll notice that there is a table. Okay, there's the word table, so that's what I want. So how do I get to that thing up above the graph? I hit the second key and then hit graph. So I'm going to hit second, graph. Okay, now your table may start in a different spot, okay, and that's okay. Okay, there's several ways, like mine started at -7, but on my image right here, it started at 0. Okay, and yours may start who knows where it could be. Hopefully it starts around 0. Okay, well, to fix that, if you needed to, there's right above the window something called table set. Okay, and you can fix that. Okay, and that's this one right here, this table set. So we can hit second window to get table set. Notice it says table start. I want you to put a 0 there. Okay, and then right here where it says table equals, okay, or delta table, which means the change in your table, I want you to change it. We're going to hit the down arrow. I want you to change it to 0.5 or 0.5. Okay, and so now you'll notice whenever I go back to table, second, graph, it's now counting by 1/2. Okay, so we need that in order to be able to figure out the answer. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run our table, okay, until we can find my x and my y, the y1 and the y2 be the same value. So if I were to run this down and I go all the way to 2.5, you'll notice that the blue is a 10 and the red is a 10. So that means my point of intersection that I had was 2.5, 10. At x is equal to 2.5, both of my graphs have a value of 10, have a y value of 10. And that is dealing with that point of intersection right there. That's what we're talking about. That's what we want to know. Okay, so let's see if we can do this again. We're going to use the same window setting, but this time we're going to use this one as an expression or an equation. So let's see if we can do this. So we're going to go to y equals. Okay, we're going to clear out what's in there. So clear, down arrow, clear, and then go back up. And then we're going to type this first part, -4x minus 2, into y1. So -4x, and remember the x is up here, minus 2, hit the down arrow key, and then I'm going to put in -10, enter. Okay, and now in order to do this, we're going to hit the graph button. Okay, so here are my two graphs. Now what I'm going to have you do on your assignment is I'm going to give you a box. Oh, that was a horrible box there. Let me see if I can just get a regular box here. Okay. Do a box, give you a square. So you're going to have a square here. And what I'm going to have you do in this square is I'm going to have you draw me a picture of what you see in this graph. Okay, so you're going to have x-axis and you're going to have a y-axis, so those are horrible. And then what you're going to do is you're going to draw the line, like right here. This is one of your lines. And then here is the other line. Oops. Well, it's kind of a wavy line. Remember, I'm just working with a mouse. So you're going to draw me a picture of what that looks like. Okay, and then you're going to have something that's called point. Oh, goodness. Oops, goodness. Messed up there. So let me see if I can just erase this one line. Okay, and then we'll do this the good way, and I'll just draw a line like this. Okay, we got a line. You're going to have something that says point of intersection here. And then you're going to have another one that's going to say, what is my solution? Okay, so here, let's see if we can find this. Okay, so I come over to my graph. In order to find the point of intersection, which is right here, I'm going to hit my trace button, and I'm going to run my little spider using my right arrow key until it hits that point of intersection. Okay, and it says, it looks like it's at 210. Now, how can I find out if that really is? If we hit our up and down arrow key, notice it changes my equation, the expression. It changes from y1 to y2, and my x and my y at the bottom don't change. Okay, so whenever we're doing that, then what I'm going to have you do then is I'm going to have you put the point of intersection. So you'll notice it says 2, -10. So you're going to write 2, okay, comma, -10, parenthesis for your point of intersection. Okay, so that's what that's going to be. So now the other thing I need to do is I need to figure out what is my solution. My solution is the x equals thing. And so what we're going to look at in this point of intersection, whatever the x value is, that's going to be my solution. So my solution is actually x is equal to 2 in this particular equation. Okay? So let's go through those steps one more time. The first thing you do is you go to y equals, you type in your two expressions. Okay, then you hit graph, and then to find your point of intersection, you hit trace, and then you use your right and your left arrow key to run the spider down until you think you've got to the point of intersection. To determine if that really is the point of intersection, you bounce it back and forth, Okay, bounce it back and forth. Okay, and then what we have to do is we got to figure out what is my solution. Okay, and my solution in this particular one is x is equal to 2. Okay, which gave us that point of intersection, 2, -10. Now, could we see this on the table as well? Yes, we could. Second graph, that gives us our table. Now, if we run our table down to 2, you'll notice that at 2, both of our expressions are at -10. Okay? So that's what we're doing. So what I'd like for you to do is I want you to do one on your own. Okay, so I want you to pause the video, and I want you to type this one in. Now, we're going to look at this first expression real fast together, and then I'll have you do the rest of it on your own. Okay? So here, this first one says x divided by 3. So that's how you type it in, x divided by 3. And then you just do plus 4. And then it takes care of the rest. Then you come down 1 and you do 2. So what I want you to do is I want you to draw me a box, just like we did this previous one. I want you to sketch the graph and find for me the point of intersection and the solution. Okay, so let's see how you did. So let me put a box here real quick so that I have something I can trace my problem into. Okay, then I'm going to hit graph over here because I've already typed them in. Hit graph. This is what my graph looked like. Okay, so what you're going to do then for your picture is you're going to draw a line here, and you're going to draw a line here. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to show me what it looked like. Okay, so this one right here looked like there was a line. Oops. I guess I ought to go back to just doing the picture there. Okay, you've got a line going right here. Okay, and then you also have a diagonal. Now, let's see if I can do a diagonal here. I can do a diagonal about like that. Okay, so that's what my graph looks like. Okay, so now what I need to do is figure out what is my point of intersection. Okay, let me write this here. Okay, so what is my point of intersection? So let's see. You hit the trace button, and I'm going to run this backwards, see if I can find this point of intersection here. Okay, it looks like maybe right there, so let's see if I can bounce it back and forth. Oh, look at there, I found the point of intersection. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to write my point of intersection, and my point of intersection is parenthesis. Looks like it's -6, 2 is my point of intersection. And then the next thing that I have to write is my solution. And my solution is x equals, and then what is my x value? -6. That is my solution. So that's what you're going to do on this little assignment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 4 practice problems. Okay, so here's what they look like. Now what we're going to do for this particular activity is we're going to use Zoom 4 for our equations. So I want you to come back over here to y equals. Okay, actually what I want you to do is do a reset. So I want you to hit second plus 7, 1, 2, and that will reset it so that my window is now back to what it was. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the Zoom 4 button, and then now that's going to set up my window. And now I want you to do just what we were doing for question 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is kind of what I want you to do. So those of you that are at home, what you're going to do is you're going to write on notebook paper, you're going to write this equation, you're going to write point of intersection, you're going to write solution, and you're going to draw me a box. So then on your calculator, you're going to type in 2x plus 4 into y1. You're going to type 2 into y2. You're going to graph it. And then whatever your screen looks like right here, that's what you're going to trace inside this box. Then you're going to find the point of intersection. You're going to put that as a parenthesis, number, comma, number, parenthesis. And then the solution is x is equal to whatever your x value is right here. And you're going to do that with each of these 4 equations. Okay? So that is how we solve equations graphically using the TI-84 graphing calculator. So until next time, I'll talk to you later.